Okay, so there's people that design costumes, they design sets, they design lights, they design projections, they design, which one did I forget? Sound. Great. So they have goals. When, as a designer, you don't just get to make pretty things, whatever, like as a costume designer. If I decide I just love the color pink, I don't get to just dress everybody in pink because I like it, right? It has to serve the play and the objectives, these specific objectives. So, number one, the design, whether it's costumes or lights or sets, etc., has to help set the tone and the style of a production. So, what that means, we're going to look at this right here. It can help establish mood and tell us kind of what the play is going to be about, how it's going to feel, how they want the audience to feel about the play. And it can tell us about the style, so the mood and the style. If we look at this image here, what kind of mood do you think it gives you? Um, to me, I think it's kind of spooky, kind of maybe ominous or poisonous, a little bit magical. So there are several things going on here. The set itself gives us a sense of mystery because of all the stuff hanging in the background and hanging up at the top. The lights have this smoky, they use haze up there, right, to give us this smoky effect that also adds to the weird, almost like poisonous or something feeling to it. All the set dressing and the props down here are very mysterious. The costumes are in this similar color palette. So all of these things, did I talk about lighting? They all, and then if we were to hear sounds, imagine what kind of sounds you would be hearing while watching this scene. They all help set the mood and the tone and the style, right? Mood and tone, kind of this creepy, mysterious, maybe poisonous mood and tone, maybe a little bit magical. And then the style, we know what kind of style we're going for too, because all of these things help portray the style that the director is going for. All right, number 2 of the designer's objectives, establish the locale and the historical period in which the play takes place, right? So we're gonna be able to tell where it takes place and when it takes place just by looking at the different scenic, lighting, costume, sound, projection, if projections are there. All those elements that the designers choose are going to help the audience understand the play better and know where we are in history and when we are in history, right? Where and when we are. So where and when the play takes place and the kind of characters that the play is about. So design elements will tell us if the play is historical or modern, set in a foreign country or in the US. So by looking at this set, where do you think we are? We're probably in the US, probably in the 1960s or 70s, probably 70s, right? Because the costume is going to tell us, like we see her hairdo here and her awesome jumpsuit that these girls have on. We can tell by the costumes where and when we are. We can also tell by the set and the props that we've got, right? The color palette is a very 60s or 70s color palette. The types of refrigerator that they have. So it's going to tell us where we are, when we are, the socioeconomic level of these characters, right? We already know just from this one snapshot. I have no idea what show this is, but the scenery and the lighting and everything is telling us a lot about who they are and where they are and when they are, as opposed to this image, right? This is a completely different time period, probably in a completely different country, because we see a knight over here, right? We see a woman with a crown on, so she's probably a queen. So I'm guessing that this takes place in Europe, because we don't have knights and queens here in America. I'm also guessing that this takes place in maybe the 16th century because of the way that they're dressed, right? The decorations that they have. Woo, whoa. Okay, there we go. The types of characters, these are definitely gentlemen, maybe of a different social class than these ladies were. Right, so all of these different design elements combine are helping to tell the story, where and when we are. All right, another objective of the designer, again, so like we're just not, oh, okay, great. So it needs to be an English, upper class estate. I'll just make it have lots and lots of crown molding or something, right? You're not just gonna decide arbitrarily what you want it to look like because you think it would look cool or look pretty, right? You got to communicate with the audience these things. All right, number 3, you have to develop a design concept consistent with the director's concept. So what does that mean? It means that you as the designer and the director need to be on the same page, right? The director is going to have this concept of the way they want things to look and feel. Even if the director doesn't know how they want it to look, they want to know the emotions that they want to get from the audience. They want to know the story that they're trying to portray. And you have to, as a designer, make sure that you're on the same page with the director so that you're both telling the same story. So if the director says, oh, I really want this kind of deconstructed, abstract feeling of a house, and I want, or even if they don't know that, they don't know that they want it deconstructed, but they want the characters to feel very vulnerable, and they want them to feel like they're in a fragile emotional state, like things could collapse around them at any time. And that people can peek in and see what's going on, and these people are just kind of falling apart at the seams. So the director tells a set designer that, then this might be the type of concept that the set designer comes up with to portray that feeling that the director has. Then, of course, the lighting designer has got to figure out how to make that kind of isolated lighting right into this area. So the rest of the set is a little bit in shadows. So that also tells us something about the character's psychological state. This is a model box of a set. So this is this is an example of what a set designer would do. They would build this probably about this big in reality, maybe the size of your computer screen. They build a diorama, it's called a model, of what they want the set to look like so that the director and the lighting designer, everybody else can see it in 3D. So this isn't a realized set yet, this is someone's model. Okay, so the number 4 of the designer's objectives is that they are going to help provide a central image or metaphor when appropriate. So if the director wants this to be this big metaphorical object, then the designers have to do that together. So it has to be consistent. They don't just decide that like, oh, I think that love is an Easter egg, so I'm going to make the set an Easter egg. Again, it has to be consistent with the play, have its own integrity. It has to really make sense. And then all of the elements of design have to create a complete universe for the play. So sometimes the lighting designer and the set designer and the costume designer, et cetera, will get together and say, this is our metaphor, so that we can all be on the same page and all design something with the same metaphor in mind. And we may interpret that slightly differently, but at least we are all on the same track. Excuse me. And we can go forward that way. Oops, all right. So this is a set for the Broadway musical Matilda. The metaphor that they have here is basically centers around Matilda's love of learning and love of reading and love of words and letters. And she's not allowed to have that when she's at home. And so this is not a realistic set design, right? Again, we want to always be consistent, the set designer and the costume designer, et cetera. I always need to be on the same page, whether things are going to be realistic or non-realistic or metaphorical. This is obviously non-realistic. It's a bit metaphorical. But I think that it's played out really well. So the lights can put different colored lights because it's kind of neutral, especially in the center. The costumes go along with this learning theme, right? So all the students are in their school uniforms. They put these cool swings on the set that go along the same wood grain as the set background pieces are. So it all ties in really, really nicely together. And we can still get a complete story with this fun abstracted set. All right, number 5, be consistent with the production as a whole, especially with other visual elements. We've talked about this as we go, right? So costumes, scenery, lights, etc., should all look like they belong in the same world. You don't want it to look disjointed. You don't want a character to come out and be like, what? They don't belong in this set, in this world. I don't believe that they're the same time period or the same aesthetic. Yeah, they have to look like they belong there, unless the goal is anachronism, It's a fun word, right? We've done that one. Talk about anachronistic things, or when things don't belong and it kind of pulls you out because it looks like it belongs in the wrong time and place. But for the most part, we want you to be involved in the story, so we don't want that anachronism to happen. So the designers have to be consistent with the playwright's intent and the director's concept. So if one element is very stylized, the rest of the elements have to be stylized. So this is a production of Seussical the Musical. As you could tell, it's Dr. Seuss's stories all mashed into one big musical. It's awesome. I love it. But see how the stylistic elements, they all go together, right? So the scenic designer went with these designs that are very Seussian, the bright colors, the fun lines, and the costume designer did the same thing. If people were just in t-shirts and jeans, it wouldn't have the same effect. So the costumes are all bright, fun colors and fun lines and fun shapes, and they got the fun ears and stuff, right? Even like the judge's stand looks like polka dotted, and the judge's outfit is this fun turquoise color. The lights are bright colors and coming from different directions and are accentuating all these bright colors instead of just washing everybody out. The lights help to tell this story, right? All of these things blend together, and I'm sure that the sound is kooky and fun and lots of boings and things like that to go along with this, not like sad sounds, right? That wouldn't go with Seussical. So they all integrate together to tell the same story so that nothing sticks out. Number 6, you have to, you got to see my little tattoo. Number 6, you have to solve practical design problems. So even if you're all on the same page, you create this really cool looking concept that you're like, yeah, this looks awesome. This tells the story. This looks beautiful together. Everything meshes. You still have issues that you have to think about that the play gives you. So you might come up with these beautiful period costumes, but what if the characters can't move their arms up, right? But they have to dance or they have to pick someone up. Then it doesn't matter how beautiful and perfect your costume is. It's not perfect because the actors have to be able to move in them. So all of the actions that are called for in the play have to be able to be done, right? So this is an example of a set for Lend Me a Tenor, which is a farce. You guys should remember what farce is, right? It's just lots of silliness for no real reason. So there's lots of doors in it because this is a hotel room or 2 adjoining hotel rooms, right? Hotel room 1, hotel room 2. This back here is the hallway. And there are butlers and different people that come into this room and then go out, and they have to come into this room and go out, and they're looking for each other. And then there has to be a closet because someone hides in the closet, and then someone opens up the closet, and then someone falls out of the closet. And there has to be a bathroom because someone has to go hide in the bathtub at some point. There has to be a bed because there's like a silly scene of people making love, and then someone like hiding under the bed while that's happening. There has to be a couch because someone has to fall over the couch in the script. So you get my point, is that the script calls for all this madness to happen, kind of Three Stooges style. But you have to read the script carefully to make sure that you're catching all the doors that have to exist, all the windows that have to exist, all the mirrors that have to be there for the gags to make sense. There need to be candles so that the candles can get knocked over. You get my point. This is another version of the set for Lend Me a Tenor. Again, same show, just because every designer and every design team is going to think of a different solution for things. So it's just done slightly differently. So this is room 1 with the bed, right? This is the hallway doors. You can see the hallway there. This time they have windows in this version. There's the door connecting the 2, and there's always got to be a couch. There's got to be the futon for the feet to rest in. There's got to be sconces, these different things that are called for in the script. But again, you can interpret it differently and have different styles each time you do it. All right, so next we're going to go into the 5 separate designers. Hang tight. It'll be in the next video.